My name is Jackson Bunyard, and I'll be giving an informative speech on bass fishing. Bass fishing is more than just a hobby. It requires skill, patience, and the right equipment. Whether you're a beginner or an experienced angler, learning new techniques improves success. Today, I'm going to tell you about the essentials of bass fishing. The best techniques for catching bass, the essential gear needed for bass fishing, and the best locations and times for bass fishing. Techniques. Different casts that I've learned over the years is pitching, flipping, skipping, being able to put my bait in a position that it needs to get an extra bite. I always look for clean water with bait in it because that's where you're going to find your most aggressive fish. Gear, rods and reels. I like Duckett rods, and I use Abu Garcia and Lew's reels because they always have never failed me. Line, I always check my line before I go fishing every time for frays and knots so it don't cost me when I get out there on the water. Another thing that's come really big over the course of the years is forward-facing sonar. And what that allows you to do is be able to pan your trolling motor and be able to see fish swimming live in front of your boat. Best locations and times, I really have started using my Bass Forecast app. It puts the weather, all the conditions into one percentage, the barometric pressure, and it gives you a percentage of what the bass are going to be feeding like that day. Casting and retrieval techniques. I'm always changing my reel speeds to try to trigger an extra bite or figure out what presentation the fish want. I always fish slow in colder water because the fish aren't as aggressive. I fish faster in warmer water because you're always going to trigger those bites a lot better when you're fishing fast in that warmer water. Lures for these situations. Topwater lures, I always throw them early, late in the evening when the fish come up and bust on bait. Crankbaits. I always fish crankbaits on large areas, and most of the time I try to find rock transitions where it's from pea gravel, chunk rock. That's where you'll find them in those transitions. Soft plastics and jigs, they're good for slowing down when those fish aren't as aggressive. You can get them to bite when it's real tough. It's great for finesse fishing in tough conditions. Reading the water. This is something that I've had to learn how to do over the course of the years and kind of study how the bass work. They're always going to sit tight to something, most of the time it's going to be some sort of structure, whether that be weeds, grass lines, boat docks, and rocks. And with that, you also have to adapt with the seasonal changes. In the spring and fall, those fish are going to push up shallow in the mud. And in the summer, they're going to move out deeper offshore on some of them ledges and points and bridges. In the winter, I always slow down and fish more thoroughly because the fish in that colder water, they don't react to some of those fast moving baits, so you really have to slow down and be able to catch them. And the last thing I'm going to talk about is how the old pros and the new pros have changed and how the sport has changed so much over the course of the years. You look at guys like Roland Martin, Jimmy Houston, they're all good because they just went out there and they fished. They didn't have all the stuff that the new guys today have. They just went fishing. And today you got guys using live scope, forward-facing sonar, being able to tell where those fish are, and it really cuts down on their practice time and helps them prepare for tournaments a whole lot better. With that, there's a lot of people who's gotten good at it. Those older guys, they had really good work ethic, so they just learned how to fish really good just by going and fishing every day. And one thing that I take pride in myself is my work ethic. I always have good work ethic, and I always try my best when it comes to anything. And I want to keep that same work ethic and be able to use forward-facing sonar later down the road and become a better angler.